Hello, sweet friends. This is Mrs. Gomez, and today we're going to be reading Seekers, The Quest Begins, Chapter 15, Toklo. Toklo's stomach was growling. He hadn't eaten in days except for a few scraps of moss he'd been able to claw off tree roots. He'd tried to hunt for salmon in the river several times, but usually he saw no signs of fish at all, and the ones he did see moved too fast for him to catch. Melting snow was mixing with the dirt, creating an icy mud that clung to his paws and made traveling slow and wet. The river rushed by, bubbling over large black rocks, with a constant roaring, gurgling noise that was beginning to sound, to Toklo, not that different from the black path. He caught the scent of prey and lifted his nose in the air, taking a deep breath. It was coming from the trees above the river, at the top of a steep embankment. He scrambled up the icy rocks, digging his claws into the stone and slipping on the slick surface. Sharp edges pressed into the pads of his paws and snagged on his fur as he dragged himself over the last ledge and climbed to his paws under the trees. Pine needles lay thickly under paw, giving off a strong evergreen scent that mingled with the smell of the prey. He put his nose to the ground, sniffing, and tracked it to a spot where four trees grew close together, their trunks almost touching, and their branches overlapping. The earth below them was still covered in hard, densely packed snow, where the trees blocked the sunshine from reaching it. Toklo crouched and crept closer. The scent didn't move. Whatever it was didn't know he was coming. When he could smell it right below his nose, he pounced, striking hard and fast at the snow. He dove into it with his forepaws, digging ferociously, throwing back snow and loose earth with his claws. When his paws reached something that was neither earth nor snow, his mouth began to water. Toklo brushed away the snow to reveal two squirrels, a stoat, and a couple of animals he had never seen before. They looked like they had been killed only recently, and the delicious smell of fresh meat wafted up to him. Toklo turned over the stoat with his paw and saw claw marks on its underbelly. He sniffed deeper and realized that under the smell of the prey there was the muskier scent of another bear. That bear must have buried this prey here, saving it for later. Toklo's fur burned with jealousy. It wasn't fair that this other bear had so much that he could bury meals like this. His mother must have taught him how to hunt properly, Toklo thought. He glanced around, pricking his ears and sniffing the air. There was no sign of the other bear. Whoever had buried this would be furious if some of the catch went missing. Toklo remembered his mother telling him never to steal prey. Why should I care what she thinks anymore? She doesn't care about me, and she's not here to tell me what to do. He crouched and sank his teeth into the soft flesh of a squirrel. He could feel his strength returning with every mouthful, and his thoughts of Oka melted away like the snow. After he had eaten as much as he could, Toklo covered the rest of the kill pile with earth and snow. He tried to pat it down so it looked undisturbed, although he was worried that his scent would still be on it. Quickly, he searched through the tangled undergrowth until he found some strong-smelling leaves and spread them over the hiding place. Perhaps that would help to hide his scent, at least long enough for him to get out of the other bear's territory. Feeling better after his meal, Toklo bounded into the woods. One day he would have a territory of his own, too. He just had to keep moving, find enough food to stay alive, and stay alert for other bears until he was old enough and big enough to fight for his own range somewhere. He kept his ears pricked for the sounds of another bear as he climbed up through the trees, heading farther up the mountain. He deliberately avoided the wet patches of dirt so he wouldn't leave a trail of paw prints. There was enough frozen packed snow still on the ground for him to walk on, and he found more and more of it as he went farther up through the trees. The wind seemed to get colder as he traveled, buffeting his fur and making his eyes water. Toklo was scrambling up a slope littered with large rocks among the trees when he saw a large dark shape moving through the woods several bear lengths away. He froze in the shadow of one of the rocks. It was an adult bear, and from the scent drifting on the wind toward him, it was the one he'd stolen the prey from. The strange bear's shoulders were broad, and his fur was matted with mud. Choklo kept very still, knowing that any sudden movement might catch the bear's eye, and even the crackle of a twig beneath his paws could attract its attention. He was glad that the wind was blowing in his face instead of carrying his scent toward the bear. Choklo crouched lower, hoping the rock would keep him hidden. The breeze dropped for a moment, and in the stillness, a bird squawked loudly, as if it could see Choklo and was shouting, "He's over here! Come get him!" Choklo's heart started to pound. He saw the other bear stand up on its hind legs and sniff the air. "Please don't smell me. Please keep going." Choklo buried his face in his paws and waited for a heavy paw to clamp down on his shoulders. After a long moment, he opened his eyes again. The bear was shambling down the mountain toward the river. Choklo hoped he wasn't heading for the hidden new kill, but just in case, he picked up the pace and began running through the trees. Ahead of him, he could see the shimmer of sunlight, and with a burst of speed, he shot out of the trees into a wide open meadow. Suddenly, he was surrounded by bright yellow warmth, and for a moment he had the confused feeling that he'd run right into the sun. He blinked until his eyes adjusted to the light. He was standing in a field of yellow flowers, the color both startling and comforting, like a pool of melted sunlight. In the distance, beyond the meadow, a mountain rose into the sky. Choklo stared at it. It looked like the head of a bear, its nose raised to the clouds, its mouth half open as if calling out to the sun, which was slowly setting behind it. He lowered his muzzle to sniff one of the yellow flowers. The stem had no leaves on it, and the yellow flower was drooping off the top. Its smell was fresh and sharp, stronger and tastier than the dandelions his mother had made him eat back by the black path. An even more mouth-watering smell was coming from below the ground. Choklo dug his front claws into the dirt and scraped away the earth around the base of the flower. The stem ran down under the ground to a round white bulb. Choklo scooped out the bulb with his paw and bent his head over to eat it. It crunched satisfyingly between his teeth, and after a moment he felt a curious tingling sensation of heat in his mouth and throat. He dug up the flower next to it and ate that bulb too. Warm and full, he moved to the bank of snow on the edge of the tree line. Night was creeping across the meadow, dimming the brightness of the flowers, and stars were beginning to appear in the dark sky. Choklo dug a shallow den for himself in the snow, making a hollow he could curl up in with some protection from the wind on all sides. He crept inside and lay down, looking up at the stars as they twinkled to life one by one. The brightest star was up there, almost directly above him, and as the night got darker, it seemed to grow brighter, shining right down on him. He remembered his mother telling him about how it was the spirit of a bad bear, driven out by the other animals. As he watched the star, he knew how it felt. The star was alone, the loneliest star in the sky, just like he was. It didn't need any other stars to survive. It lived on its own in the endless sky, the same way he was wandering by himself across the endless mountains. His eyes drifted shut, and in his muddled dreams he thought he could hear the star calling to him. "Choklo, be strong like me," it whispered. And then he dreamed that he was walking through dark purple clouds right into the sky, and when he looked down, his fur was shimmering silver, and he realized that he'd become the star. It was cold in the sky, and he could hear the voices of other animals whispering from far away, but he lifted his muzzle proudly toward the moon. Whatever he'd done to get here, he was alone and proud of it, and that was how he would stay. And that, my friends, is the end of chapter 15. Thank you for joining me.